Tomoko didn't have a plan for summer break. She barely had a plan for the weeks before it. This is how she stumbled into both anyway. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Wherever you're watching this from, continue catching up on what's going on with Watamote until hopefully we've mostly caught up. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a warm cup of tea, and let's see what happened after the anime. Last time, we found out what Tomoko actually did to Kotomi back in middle school. Kyoto got picked as the school trip almost by accident, and Tomoko's teacher told her point blank that waiting to be noticed doesn't really work. So today, things with Kotomi are about to shift for real. Chapter 52 finds Tomoko playing games in her room when she catches a TV segment about a singer called Vocalist B making a big televised debut. Watching the singer's rising popularity, Tomoko gets it into her head that she could become a famous high school composer herself. She buys music software, and after 5 frustrating hours of work, she is crushed by just how hard it is to actually make decent music. So she shifts. Maybe composing isn't her thing, but writing lyrics for other people's songs could be. She goes looking online for opportunities to write lyrics for others, finds a bunch of other people already doing something, and gets discouraged all over again. Then she spots one post in particular, a song request with 0 replies, just sitting there ignored. Shows she decides to actually write back, and even puts together a full arrangement for whoever posted it. The chapter ends with a reveal. The poster on the other end is Kotomi, who lights up with excitement at getting a response, and then her expression shifts into aggressive shock as she actually listens to what Tomoko wrote. And here's the thing, we don't actually find out right away what was in those lyrics. Chapter 53 drops that entirely and goes somewhere else, but the chapter 54 payoff is worth the wait, so hold on to that thought. Chapter 53 is one of those multi-vignette chapters, light, episodic, and a string of small Tomoko moments rather than one through line. It opens with Tomoko waking up early, feeling great after an early night, gymnastically leaping out of bed and declaring today is going to be a good day. She pesters her brother with questions over breakfast, while he silently dreads exactly the opposite, knowing from experience that her good mood normally means a bad day for him. On her way out, her mom hands her 2 umbrellas, one for her, one for Tomoki. She gets distracted almost immediately by an inchworm hanging over a waterway, starts practicing dramatic sword-drawn motions at it with her brother's umbrella, misses, and flings the umbrella straight into the water. At school, she notices she can faintly see Hina's bra through her shirt in the light. A small, awkward, very teenage detail. And by the end of the day, seeing no sign of rain, she just throws her own umbrella at Tomoki, hits him in the back, grins like a hero in some anime, and runs off. Later, heading to a manga cafe, she's riding an elevator and notices a couple together. And once everyone else clears out, the boy starts affectionately touching the girl's hair, only for the girl to notice Tomoko silently standing in a corner and stops him. At the cafe itself, reading manga in her little nook, Tomoko overhears the same couple being playfully affectionate nearby. And despite mentally ranting about how everything in these places is recorded on camera, she still can't resist sneaking a peek into their cubicle anyway, getting recorded in the act herself. Afterward, after she realizes it's actually raining, she texts Tomoki to bring an umbrella. Except she'd flung his into the river earlier, so she squats down right in front of the ticket machine at the station, blocking his path, reading manga, clearly waiting to ambush him with a spat. He spots her and deliberately just walks straight past her instead. She catches up to him and teasingly asks if he's being tsundere about it. He's horrified that she saw through him. As they walk home together, she proudly tells how she saved the day by bringing him an umbrella. And when he points out she didn't bring one for herself, she just points vaguely to the river, claims that it's his umbrella, and tells him to thank her, before launching into a whole dramatic retelling of what a terrible day he must have had, which she had conveniently saved. Now all of this is a fun detour, but chapter 54 is where those lyrics from chapter 52 catch up with everything. This is the one. Chapter 54 is a big one for the Tomoko-Kotomi relationship. Really, the turning point for this whole thing. Leaving school, Tomoko runs into Kotomi and they share an awkward silence. Hina passes by and calls out a goodbye with Akane watching the exchange suspiciously, and Tomoko gives Kotomi a small embarrassed smile afterward, which Kotomi takes as gloating. Kotomi turns to leave, and Tomoko, going the same direction, follows close behind. Kotomi stops and confronts her. Why is she even following her, when the train should be faster? Tomoko smugly announces that, unlike Kotomi, she's actually meeting a friend. They end up in the same bus anyway, with Tomoko deliberately sitting behind Kotomi just to be annoying, recognizing the book Kotomi's reading and spoiling the ending out of spite. Right as Kotomi is about to snap back, a boy from her class casually drops off a library book with her, brushing off her protest that he should return it himself, and gets off the bus. Tomoko just stares, then asks if she's happy now. Tomoko, almost crying and clearly misunderstanding the situation, insists Kotomi must think she's better for being able to talk to a boy so easily. Tomoko thinks Kotomi's popular just because she's a librarian. They get off at the same stop, with Tomoko still needling her about having charisma, boasting that she, unlike Kotomi, is about to meet an actual middle school friend before walking off. Obviously more upset than she's letting on. Kotomi, confused, repeats the phrase "a friend of middle school" over in her head. Curious, Kotomi follows Tomoko to a cafe and spots her sitting happily with a girl. From behind, the girl looks different from how Kotomi remembers her. That girl's Yu, who gets up to use the bathroom, spots Kotomi and immediately recognizes her, even though Kotomi herself doesn't recognize Yu back. All three of them end up sitting together, with Yu smiling, Tomoko and Kotomi both silently sweating it out. While Yu asks Kotomi questions, Tomoko quietly seethes with jealousy. Yu turns to Tomoko, confused why she never mentioned going to the same school as Kotomi. Tomoko admits they only just found out themselves, and Yu, happy, grabs both of their hands, excited for the three of them to be close again like they used to be. Then, she excuses herself to the washroom, leaving the two of them alone. The second Yu's gone, Tomoko asks that Kotomi refuses. Tomoko argues that since Yu never reached out to her, she clearly doesn't actually want to be her friend. Kotomi protests that her phone number changed, and then Kotomi fires back that if Tomoko were Yu's friend and Tomoko's sister, she'd never bother talking to her at all. Tomoko escalates hard, calling Kotomi gross for having a crush on Tomoki, mocking him as ugly and boring, and implying he might be gay or incestuously interested in his own sister, which is enough to make Kotomi roughly grab her by the collar, furious, warning Tomoko to never disrespect her own brother like that again. That's exactly the moment Yu walks back in on. All three of them sit there in tense silence. Tomoko and Kotomi each privately blame the other for the scene that Yu just saw. Yu, nervous, suggests that they all go somewhere else instead. An arcade they used to hang out together back in middle school. Once there, Tomoko crushes an irritated Kotomi at one game. Yu reminds Kotomi she used to be great at trivia, and Kotomi pointedly notes that unlike a certain slacker, she didn't exactly have free time to spend gaming all day. It's a jab that Tomoko quickly gets, and then Kotomi crushes them both at trivia easily, mocking Tomoko for only knowing anime and video game facts. Tomoko retaliates by inviting her to a shooting game and wins easily. Kotomi tries to save face, insisting her real specialty is puzzle games that require you to use your brain. Walking together afterward, Yu happily suggests they all do this again over summer break. Tomoko and Kotomi look at each other, sheepishly agree, and Yu declares it an official promise. The moment Yu leaves, the two of them immediately separate again. On her way home, Tomoko gets a text from Yu, gently asking her to try to get along with Kotomi. The next day, Kotomi spots Tomoko at her locker, checks her phone nervously, and greets her. Tomoko stammers something back. Tomoko admits, almost despite herself, that yesterday was actually fun. Kotomi agrees, privately reflecting that she never really wanted to get along with Tomoko in the first place, but admitting to herself that, again, they just sort of ended up trying anyway, the same as they did back in middle school. And this is the real heart of this arc, not a clear reconciliation, but something much more honest and human. Two girls who genuinely don't like each other, getting nudged back together by someone they love, quietly, reluctantly, letting it happen anyway. That closing line from Kotomi is one of the more emotionally mature moments in this whole chapter. And with that settled, however reluctantly, we hit summer. Chapter 55 is set during Tanabata. Tomoko watches everyone do this with total disinterest, privately mocking the whole romantic legend behind the holiday. Still, she wanders over to read other people's wishes, spots a joke one, and decides she can write something funnier. The next day, she hides nearby to watch people read her wish, and lights up with genuine joy when two students stop to read it and call it funny. Back in class, riding that high, she starts brainstorming an even better joke, this time built on crude sexual wordplay about the two star-crossed lovers. Right after school, she spots Kotomi blushing as she hangs up her own wish and hurries off. Tomoko reads it, finds it surprisingly sincere, and hangs up her own crude joke wish directly next to it anyway. She's about to put up a few more when Megumi catches her, laughing about how many wishes she's apparently made. Megumi asks what she wished for, and Tomoko, suddenly embarrassed, deflects it by asking Megumi about hers instead. Megumi simply wished for everyone else's wishes to come true. Now that's enough to genuinely shame Tomoko. She starts taking her joke wishes back down, manages to get one, and hides it just as Ogino surprises her. Trying to be encouraging, completely misreading the situation as usual, Ogino grabs a ladder and insists on helping Tomoko hang her wish somewhere real prominent, where everyone will see it. Tomoko, horrified, climbs all the way up to the top and hangs it as high as possible instead, specifically so high that only the two gods could ever read it. There's something quietly sweet in this chapter despite all the crude jokes. Megumi's simple, selfless wish is enough to genuinely embarrass Tomoko into reconsidering her own mean-spirited one, even if she handles the fallout in the most Tomoko way possible. Which sets up chapter 56, where Tomoko once again tries to course-correct something, overcorrects wildly, and makes everything much, much worse. Chapter 56 is a small, relatable spiral about body odor and anxiety of all things. Tomoko runs to school and still ends up late, blaming it somehow on an anime she got distracted watching that morning. Hina notices she's sweaty and kindly offers her deodorant. Tomoko brushes it off, insisting the sweat will just evaporate, until Hina reminds her that they have PE next period anyway. During class, playing basketball, Akane passes her the ball and Tomoko tries to pull off some flashy anime-style punch pass, and just sprains her wrist instead. Afterwards, she notices even the boys are dousing themselves in deodorant, which makes her paranoid enough to go check her own smell in the bathroom. She generally can't tell either way, but Hina's earlier offer keeps her playing in her head, and she becomes convinced Hina must think she stinks. So when she comes home, she corners her brother and asks him to smell her directly. He refuses. She gets irritated that nobody in her life would just give her a blunt, honest answer. After bath, she remembers the perfume you gave her on her birthday and, on a whim, sprays it onto her purple stuffed toy, turning it in her mind into a stand-in for you herself. The next day, on a brutally hot morning, she drenches herself in that same perfume in the school bathroom, so much so that her classmates can barely concentrate with the smells filling up the room. After PE, she sprays herself again, reasoning that at least she'll smell like perfume instead of sweat. Walking down the hallway afterwards, she passes Tomoki, who just flatly tells her that she smells terrible. Now that was a good palate cleanser of a chapter. The irony of overcorrecting is so hard that the fix becomes worse than the original problem is very relatable in a very teenage way of overthinking. And then, right after all that, summer break finally hits. Chapter 57. Chapter 57 brings us to the start of summer break. At the start of the school assembly marking the last day before break, Tomoko walks past the basketball team gearing up for a tournament, scrolling on her phone, overhearing different groups of classmates excitedly making summer plans. Eventually, she ends up at the bus station with Kotomi. The two reluctantly sit together on the way to meet Yu, saying nothing in particular. At the cafe, Yu's thrilled that the two of them showed up together and reminds them that they've promised to do something this summer. Brainstorming ideas, Tomoko excitedly pitches bug catching, specifically letting different insects fight to the death so the strongest survivor can be used to curse someone. Kotomi's oddly into it, but Yu, who wants nothing to do with bugs, suggests the beach instead. Since neither Tomoko nor Kotomi own a swimsuit, the three head to the mall to shop for one. Both girls are visibly nervous about trying on swimsuits, but Kotomi gets distracted finding a set that would let her cosplay a favorite anime character, and that spirals into her and Tomoko getting completely absorbed in a conversation about Tomoko Kuroki. Neither of them ends up trying on a single swimsuit though. You just watch as the two of them, slightly confused, privately wondering if she should just let them go off to catch bugs or attend Comic-Con without her. And for the first time, she's the one feeling like the odd one out, suspecting that Tomoko and Kotomi have grown genuinely close now when they go to the same school. There's a real hint of loneliness in there. They walk home that night just in time to catch the fireworks. Kotomi thanks you for inviting her along, prompting you to tell them both they should text her more often, while privately scolding herself for feeling anything but happy that their two friends are finally getting along. The chapter ends on a lovely little note. The next morning, Yu wakes up to 24 messages waiting from Tomoko and Kotomi. This is a nice place to pause the story. The two people who least wanted to do anything with each other ended up forming somewhat of a good bond again, strong enough that the person who set it up feels a little left out of her own gift. And that flood of 24 messages says everything about how much has actually changed since chapter 35. 24 messages. Tomoko and Kotomi texting overnight like that's just a thing they do now. Nobody planned this. It just keeps happening. Summer's only getting started, and next time, Ki-chan is coming to visit. Tomoko's younger cousin, the one she used to feel completely superior to. That's gonna be interesting, isn't it? If you like this, leave a like and maybe subscribe. It helps with this small channel a little bit. Come back next time as we continue trying to catch up with Watamote. Take care, and go out there and make the world slightly